and welcome to the Newton Sports Club podcast, a new podcast dedicated to the teams, players, coaches, staff and members of Newton Sports Club. Each episode we will follow the cricket, rugby, tennis and football teams, including pre- and post-match interviews, results, upcoming fixtures and specially featured interviews from players, coaches and supporters alike. But this podcast isn't just about the players, it's about the supporters, members and customers of Newton Sports Club, and we will invite all of our listeners to join in on the pod each and every episode. So, wherever you're listening, sit back and let's get into the episode. Well, hi and welcome to episode 3 of Newton Willow Sports Club podcast. I'm your host, Rob Fludder. It's absolute delight to be here again and put this episode together. Now, just before we get into the crux of the episode, it's fair to say that episode 2 has gone down an absolute storm. And when I say a storm, I'm not referring to the rugby league boys and girls down at the club. I'm saying about the amount of downloads. In fact, we've had over 200 downloads for that episode alone. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody that's downloaded the podcast and really spread the word. We're really excited about it. Like we said in the first and second episodes, it's a real fun time down at the club right now. Lots of excitement, and hopefully this pod can really add to that. So thank you ever so much. It's exceeded expectation, if I'm honest, and it's been an absolute delight to be able to see all of those downloads and know that people are listening. And just to add to that, being in and around the club, I've had lots of feedback, whether that's on social media, messages, and people in the club that have been listening or are excited. So they might have heard it for the first time or seen me down there and really want to get involved, including Sam behind the bar. So Sam said he'll come on and do a bit for us. We've got players, we've got coaches, we've got all sorts. And a big shout out to the ladies football team. They've contacted on social media to say they want to be part of it as well. So brilliant. Thank you very much. And I can't wait to put more of these episodes out for everybody. Now, it's fair to say, down at the club on Saturday, another busy one. Lots of rugby going on with the under-14s and under-16s down there. And our under-14s football team, under-13s even, not the under-14s. So the under-13s football team down at the club, and a fantastic day because they won the Presidnetial Cup. And you can just feel the buzz down there with all the boys. They're all smartly dressed in their shirts and ties. They look the part, and they definitely walk in the walk as well. So brilliant day down there, and it was absolutely buzzing. And just on the back of that, I was really, really delighted and able to get a couple of interviews on Saturday. And the first interview was with Carl and Steve, who are the coaches of the under-13s side. And you can hear the buzz in the background of the club. You can just feel how busy it was down there. People enjoying themselves, having a bit of a laugh and a joke. The sun was out, having a good few drinks as well. The excitement that comes from a team winning a cup final is just enormous. And you can just, like I said, you can really feel that buzz down there. So when you do hear the interviews, the sound quality may not be the best because of the background noise. But you know what? That just adds to it. A lot of podcasts, they want to be perfect, right? And I get it. I really do get it because it's the right thing, okay? But at the same time, I wanted to keep that there, and it was a brilliant time to be at the club and do these interviews, just so you, the listener, if you haven't been down the club before or haven't been in a while or had to miss it for whatever reason, you can just feel that atmosphere generating that's down at the club. Also down there, I got to have a bit of a catch up with Joe, and Joe has desperately asked me that I plug the new website. An amazing, exciting time and brilliant to bring to you, nlwsports.co.uk, where you can find out all the latest news, anything about the club on the website. Please do get on it. If you haven't had a go, just download it, have a search through. There will be more content coming soon, I promise you. All sorts of things on there, but there's news, there's events, there's everything about all the teams. we're living in 2022. The club needed the website. Joe's arranged it. Lots of hard work and effort. So please do support it. And if you want anything plugged in on the website, please do speak to Joe. She'll be only too happy to help. And if you've got if you're part of the team, one of the teams, and you want a special event on there, do get on to Joe, and she'll be only too happy to help you out. I also had the great opportunity on this episode to sit down and speak with one of the Storm under-14s players, Alfie Rowe. Now, it's fair to say you'll hear it in the interview, but he had an absolutely storming game. Excuse the pun. And I think he really just understated his quality, not just on the day, but what he's going through at the moment in terms of his I was going to say career, but as a 14-year-old, I don't think it's really a career just yet. But he's on an upward path, and he had an amazing game on Saturday. And the fallout from that is massive. So please do stay and listen out for that. It was brilliant. And as one of the youngsters that was, only too happy to come onto the pod, it's brilliant because, we've had adults on here and that's the right thing to do. Start it off. But adults, especially if they've had a couple of beers inside them, they'll talk easier. But a youngster coming on, all of his teammates around him and coaches, it took a bit of bottle for Alfie to come on, so do stay and listen to that. But as I said, our first interview was with Carl and Steve. Absolutely brilliant interview on the back of the cup final win, talking a little bit about their own experiences with the club, how they got involved, how they've built the club, where they are now, and what they're looking to for the rest of the season. A brilliant interview, and do sit back and listen to this one. It's one not to be missed. Okay, I'm down at Newton Sports Club and delighted to be with Carl and Stephen from the Newton Willows under-13s team. Gents, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here. Yeah, thanks for having us.
You're welcome. How are you? How you doing? You well?
Yeah, we're pretty good. A happy day, we just won the cup, so...
Amazing. Great story for the team. You're down here on the day that you've won the Presidential Cup final, winners now, and you've still got some games to go at the end of the season, so it must be a really good feeling right now.
Yeah, it's a really good moment. I think today for us, especially as coaches, I think we've been doing this now since 2014, quite a long time, and I think we started off in Division 4-5 and we've worked up to the Premier League. But 3 games to go, but we've got to shout at the league, and to get to the cup final today, I think for all the people involved with the team, especially for myself and Steve, it was a proud day today, and we're just happy that we are now the Presidential Cup winners.
Oh, congratulations, and please do spread that out to everybody involved. But it would be great if I could just start by talking a bit about yourselves. So, Carl, tell me about a little bit about yourself, your background with the club, and how you got involved.
Well, literally, I think there was an academy when the kids were about 3. I was a dad just watching. I think it was Andy Tidder who asked me to get involved. I think St Mary's football field, and then I haven't looked back since. But the club has fully supported us right through the beginning. They put us on coaching courses, first aid courses, social wellbeing courses, which is really good to be involved in, and opened your eyes, and it's all evolved from there really. And then I think your heart gets attached to it, and then right along beside Steve has always been there as well.
Brilliant. And Steve, a bit about you?
For myself, pretty similar to Carl. The boys started out in the academy, which wasn't really part of us because we're just parents on the sidelines. But then, obviously, when it gets to the age of 6/7, that's when someone has to take over. Like when they come out of the academy, which Carl volunteered to do. And it was funny that myself and one of the other coaches who isn't here today, Adam, we were sat on the sidelines watching Carl. It's not easy to do, trying to coach X amount of players doing it. And we just got asked by someone else as it goes do we want to help out? So me and Adam said, you know what, we will. We'll give Carl a hand out here. And that was the first part of this, probably like I said, 6, 7, 8 years ago now.
Wow.
And we've taken it from there to Carl driving it, us being the coaches to where we are now, and we're doing pretty well actually as it goes. So
brilliant, and that's a great story. So do I assume that some of the lads that are playing for you now have been with you from the start as well? Some of the
Six players.
Wow.
The core of the team,
Could even be more.
yeah, but the core of the team is still part of the Newton and Willows Academy, which they run, obviously, from the
So you would have seen that as their development as they got bigger and stronger, and that technical ability grows as well alongside that, and the mentality, how they react after winning and losing games, and all of that sort of thing. It must be a special moment to see that.
It's a very special moment, and I think, football's a funny thing, isn't it? It's full of emotions. You have your ups, you have your downs, but as I say, we've come from Division 4 and 5, and we've had a lot of emotions along them ways. We've been successful. I think today was our 4th trophy we've won so far, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And even like the relationship between myself and Steve, we've become really, really close friends over the years. We only speak to each other just twice a day, every day, probably some days, and it's all these emotions that makes us the team that we are today, really.
And that's what sport can do, right? It can bring people together. And in times of difficulty as well, we all see that, whether that's worldwide or more local. When you've got that togetherness, it's something that you can't explain, it just happens. But grassroots sport, and I know you guys are involved in football, but we're at the club today, and the club really promote grassroots sport in general, but it's really important, and I think the last few years we've seen it on the BBC have been promoting it, Sky have been promoting it, but it's guys like yourself that are on the front line of that. You must really see and feel how important grassroots sport is to the kids nowadays, especially when we see the crime figures and stuff going out, and you've got a safe environment to bring the kids down there.
Definitely, I think also, given the last 2 years with the pandemic, with COVID, I think it's been tough for kids in general, but because of grassroots sport, like even particularly ourselves, doing things that we couldn't play football, but we were doing online things or meet up in some way we could, the best we can as well, to help the lads or girls, depending on what the team is, get through that as well. It's been challenging times. I think grassroots sports play a big part in that, and absolutely builds as well.
And I'm sure you guys with the kids would have missed that during the pandemic, when you couldn't get out, when you couldn't all get together, and it must have emphasised that win. You're cup winners now, and after the 2 years we had in a lockdown, out of lockdown, you can't get together, and now we've all come out of that now, and you've got a trophy at the end of it.
Exactly, yeah.
I think for me that's the key as well. Just to see everyone back on the line today, especially over the last couple of weeks with our sort of title charge as well. It's just really, really good to see grassroots football, grassroots sport bring everyone together again, and a smile on the face. And for me, that's what it's all about. Brilliant.
And that, we're looking at now that it's coming towards the tight end of the Premier League. So we know that Liverpool and Man City are fighting for that at the top, and there's a massive issue at the bottom where Everton and Burnley are fighting to stay. And then we've got the European places. So everybody's excited about that, but there's the real excitement about that grassroots side of things as well. And that leads us nicely, when you say about the title charge there, Carl, how's the season gone so far? So we started in September. How many games you got left to go?
We've got 3 games left to go, but it's been difficult, as you say, with the pandemic, and people have been having still COVID issues throughout the season and cancelling games, so we found ourselves not having the flow of games, which affects our rhythm. But we're starting to pick that up now as we're coming out of it, and I said we've got 3 games to go. I think if we can win 2 of them games, 6 points, we'll be champions, which is incredible considering we only got promoted at the beginning of the season, so it's a massive achievement.
So you're on for a double push for a double.
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez, and there must be a good end of season celebration for that, right?
Well, that's the plan, and hopefully, all going well, it'll be back here on the 28th of May. That's the plan.
Well, okay. It's a big day because it's the European Champions League Cup final.
Which Liverpool could be in as well, I want to mention.
You were red by any chance?
No.
Even so, though, this will be a great day if we can get back here to win the league, and obviously people can celebrate the Champions League as well. That'd be
brilliant.
Perfect, yeah.
And realistically, and I know this is very difficult for coaches, whether we watch it on the Premier League and it's Jurgen Klopp asking, or